Hi, I'm Steve Couch. I'm the current programming director of Muscatine Public Access here on AT&T. We're here tonight to talk about Gene Bell, who was our comrade in arms here in videography. And he just recently died, and tonight our purpose for having all these clips that you're about to see is to honor him. Today would have been his birthday, and we're really glad to know him, and we hope that you enjoy this whole day's worth of video, because it was all by Gene Bell, and this is for Gene Bell, and we miss him a lot. To my right, your left, is Kurt Shreiner. He was programming director. I'm Steve Couch, as I said. This is Nick Pieper. He was programming director after Kurt. This is Dan Witkoske. He's our current producer slash local access person, along with me. And we've all known Gene for a really long time. We've all liked him a lot. We've got a lot of stories to tell you, and a lot of things that he did that made him the person that he was. And we're here to tell you about it and give you some examples in between all this programming that we're going to play for you today.
That's right, Steve. Gene started out here as a local access producer. It would have been right when cable started here, and in those days there was probably only 16 or 17 channels of total programming on your cable service, and many of those channels were community access channels. And Gene made quite a name for himself with a program called Local Color. I was not here at that time. I had two predecessors before me. Sherry Manjoin was here before I was, and then the gentleman that was here before Sherry, I cannot recall his name.
Dave Olive.
Dave Olive.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Dave Olive, Morrow Wing.
Dave Olive, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
And yeah, I think it's important to remember that Gene got in the video because he loved it. He was a public access producer. He wasn't being paid. Eventually got on the staff here at Heritage Cable, but he started out just for the joy of making video, and he was just an artist, and he learned a lot, I think, while he made that program.
Mm-hmm.
But he had good basic video techniques, production techniques, when he made that program too.
You're going to be seeing a lot of local color of Gene's show this day. There's quite a number of shows that he made, and we're real pleased to play him over again. We also, well, we might as well just go to a clip to show you what a little bit of this would be like.
Well, howdy friends and neighbors, and welcome to our 10th program on Local Color. We're so glad to be with you again tonight. We're going to go through the old tapes over the months, the last 3 or 4 months of our shows, and take the highlights and present them to you on this special 10th program. I sure hope you do enjoy it. Thank you. Thanks for watching Local Color. We're so happy to be with you. This program's all about people, big folks and children too. We'll visit your home every now and then, just to brighten your day. Now so everyone come and join the fun. Local Color comes your way.
Well, there was the intro to Local Color, and you'll be seeing a full sample of that later on. but Gene
Or
was
maybe we
also...
have all day long.
We've been playing
May
it.
see several of them. Oh, okay. So that gives you a feel of what Gene started out doing in video, and he got into other fields as well as video. He was always into songwriting.
Right.
In his early days, before he even came to Muscatine, he was a songwriter, and he performed live on stage. And he wrote several songs when he was here in Muscatine working at cable or as a public access producer, and several through the years. There was one that Bobby Fischer, the Nashville music producer, who was a friend of Gene's, there was one that he talked Bobby into writing a song for him, because Gene loved to make music videos as well as write songs.
Yeah.
He loved to produce the videos to go along with them, and he talked Bobby into writing a song called Rainbow Rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually made a video to that song, and I helped him with that. My family was in it.
You're in it.
And I know you have a clip from that, I think,
That's
that we're
right.
going to show.
Sung by
possibly.
C.C. Chapman.
C.C. Chapman was the artist
Yes.
who eventually sang it.
Oh, that's right. I've
And-
forgotten about that.
You'll see Gene, you'll see Nick even in there too without a beard.
So
So here it is, Rainbow Rodeo.
Out of the chute he sits tall as the timber, one hand on the horse and one hand on the sky. 8 seconds later he lands in the money, and winning's a feeling that money can't buy. Kids love a hero and big silver buckles. Girls love to dream of a rodeo man. He loves the back roads and fields without fences. And I guess he loves me because I understand. He's a rainbow rider. He's hitched up his saddle. He's ready to ride. He's a rainbow rider. A dream chasing cowboy with the rodeo girl by his side. Salt Lake in June and July in Montana, Tucson in August, then off to Cheyenne. He remembers the fall that he took last September, and he's hoping he draws that old Brahma again. He's a rainbow rider. He's hitched up his saddle. He's ready to ride. He's a rainbow rider. A dream chasing cowboy with the rodeo girl by his side. Lately he's talking about having a son, someone who learned from the things that he's done. A young bronc busting buckaroo. A trailer behind and a white Eldorado, a red western sunset, a blue mountain range. Some things in this life you like to do over, but living with him something I'd never change. He's a rainbow rider. He's hitched up his saddle. He's ready to ride. He's a rainbow rider. A dream chasing cowboy with the rodeo girl by his side. Rainbow rider. A dream chasing cowboy with the rodeo girl by his side.
Well, let's talk about getting out of Muscatine. Do you know about that?
Well, getting out of Muscatine, he did that actually years and years before he actually got to before there was community access. And I know he printed it. I think there was a recording studio here in town. It was downtown someplace, across from the library, I think. And he printed a bunch of 45s. And he wrote this song, and I'm sure that he was probably performing at one of the local establishments, and decided that he would go ahead and press that thing to 45s. And they probably took it to one of the local retailers, a hardware store, or I'm not sure what, or a department store, maybe a couple of department stores, and it just flew out of the it just flew out of the store. It was probably more money coming in at that time than Gene probably had seen in a long time.
Right,
off this 45. It really was a hit in Muscatine.
They played it in the Quad Cities,
yep,
he said.
Yep, and so that kind of stayed with Gene forever because he was famous for that song, naturally. And after a time, he realized that it really was a part of him. And I think it was either in the late 80s or early 90s, he went ahead and made this this video that went along with the song. And it's typical Gene Bell.
Here it is. It's Gotta Get Out of Muscatine.
Gotta get out of Muscatine.
Yeah, getting out of Muscatine.
Getting out of Muscatine.
I passed Geneva down the street. People down there would rather drink than eat. I'm on my way. I'm getting out of Muscatine. Hello, Paul, I know you. Walkers and coke and cigarettes too. I'm on my way. I'm getting out of Muscatine. GPC and Thatcher Glass, button factories, I've seen my last. I'm on my way. I'm getting out of Muscatine. Rich man, poor man, young man, old. Doctors getting wealthy, are stealing your gold. I'm on my way. What do you think of that, LBJ? Medicare. Get her, George. My old car sputters and spuds are trying to get out of this doggone rut. I'm on my way. I'm getting out of Muscatine. Stop at the journal place and I'm getting out of here 'cause I've been had. I'm on my way. I'm getting out of Muscatine. I'm getting out of Muscatine.
Well, we're back. Now we're going to talk about another song that Gene did. He actually had another sequel to "Gotta Get Out of Muscatine." What was that called?
Going back to Muscatine.
Going Back to Muscatine.
Going back to Muscatine.
Had a bunch of other songs, but one that's recent. He had a song about the flood of 1993, and I think everybody here can remember that. It was raining, and he had a song about how bad the gnats got, and it was called "Gnat Attack." And so we'll play that for you now.
Dan, were you here during that period of time?
Yeah.
Was he kind of utilizing some new technology that was available to him?
Probably the new editing suite that we had gotten roughly a year and a half prior to it. Getting back to Muscatine, I think he ended up redoing the song later on after Gnat Attack, trying to doctor it up. Incidentally, for those of you who are Cowboy Copas songs, that is actually a parody of Going Back to Alabama.
Going back to Alabama.
So
Yeah.
for that one, it kind of.
There you go.
Good job. Well, and he loved that new. He's got a new sound effects generator during this time.
Oh,
He's
that's
got all
right.
the sound
Oh,
effects,
yep.
and you'll see his animation too. He was quite a good cartoonist, and his little animated gnats are going to be showing up there too. So here he is. Gnat Attack.
Gnat Attack.
The Midwest storms while gnats and swarms attack your face and neck. and the skin on you is red and blue. You're a nervous wreck. Showers in the morning, thunderstorms about 4. Along about midnight, if you're not hid right, the rain will find you. Hey, Ma, shut the door. And the rains refuse to go away. The sun shines somewhere, let us pray. Rain, 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 go away. Dead burn gnats, raining dogs and cats, lightning man. Torrential downpour. So the river goes up and then back down. It's up and down, flooding your basement and the streets in town. You cussed Mother Nature and she picked on you. Dad dreaded gnats, what you gonna do? Oh, you Mississippi River, here's looking at you. With your muddy waters squeaking round in my shoes. And the rains refuse to go away. The sun shines somewhere, let us pray. Rain, 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 go away. Dead burn gnats, raining dogs and cats, a lightning man, here he comes again. Torrential downpour. Oh, the Mississippi is a river iffy, and then she likes to flood. When she does that, here comes the gnat, G-N-A-T, that little sucker's after your blood. He's a new breed, and when you he bit you on the private parts. We know it made you mad, but the gnat was glad. And then you let a great big Mad Creek, have you lost your way? Mad Creek, are you flooding today? Tet-tratted gnat attack. Here comes the gnat. Here comes the rain. Here comes Johnny Cash. Remember him? How high's the water, mama? Take that, Cash.
Welcome back from the flood of 1993. We're going to move from gnats to a little worm.
Yeah, Gene was also had a real knack for, as well as writing songs, he had a knack for writing poetry as well, and he won an award for this one, didn't he?
I
We're
think
not
that that's
exactly
true,
sure.
Steve, but I'm not sure. I know that he had copyrighted it. I'm sure that it's on record at the Library of Congress, and that very well could be. It's a very nice little poem.
Yeah.
And
it was a poem that was read at his funeral service.
At his funeral service.
And it was very fitting because that was classic Gene, and it was something that he wrote, I think, when he was younger.
Yeah. I think
And
so.
everybody he'd met, he would read it to him at one point or another. When he,
That's right.
His friends. I know he read it to me on several occasions, and I didn't meet him until it was like in '85.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know when he wrote it.
Yeah.
But it is on file at the Library of Congress, and
Yeah.
it's one of his
Proudest achievement.
Well,
it's
his claims to fame.
That's true.
It is. You'll hear his voice in this clip. He read it. He probably did the illustration too.
I thought Bill Maher read it.
Oh no, that's Gene.
That was
I think
Gene.
in this
That
clip,
was
Gene's
Gene.
actually reading
Gene
it.
is
in this
reading it,
clip.
and those are his illustrations as well.
Right. So here he is, Terrence the Worm.
Terrence the Worm.
Wild Bill's Barbecue.
Poem by the Vagabond. One day I saw a worm crawling on the ground, and I picked him up and took him home, this worm that I found. He was skinny and wiggly and sort of brown and all strung out, this worm that I found. This squiggly creature with eyes of blue became my friend. Don't laugh, it's true. Me and Worm had fun, always playing around, and I named him Terrence this worm that I found. We played day and night. I'd toss him in the air. When I tried to catch him, he'd land in my hair. I like to stretch him tight or tie him in a knot. And he even slept with me because I like worm a lot. But alas, one day, and it just broke my heart, while I was stretching worm, he just snapped apart. It wasn't long then till poor worm died. And after the funeral, I cried and I cried. But then one day, as soon as we turned the page there, then one day I was walking around. I saw another worm a-crawling on the ground. "Terrence, you're alive! Where have you been?" He looked up and smiled and winked at me then.
It gives you a little sample of Gene's work with kids, and that was a fun little video. But Gene really did work hard to make clean videos for kids and families and fun to watch. Gene was an entertainer. That was what he strived to do, was entertain people. That's all he wanted to do.
One of the things that Gene also did while he was here was, besides making all this programming, is he also had an opportunity to make television commercials for Muscatine as well as in Burlington. Gene had a certain idea the way television commercials should be made. He had a certain idea on how they should be written. But the main thing was, you know, if you really look at his work, it's solid work. He'd always get a good shot. You could bet that would be lit correctly. There's a lot of commercials that he didn't even write, that he shot, you know, that stand the test of time. I've got to say, one of my favorite commercials that was produced here in Muscatine was a commercial that was actually done with Nick's help, and I think I had a little hand in it, and Gene was a big part of it. We'd get a new piece of equipment, and of course everything that we're talking about now is so antiquated because everything's changed so much. But in those days, I mean, to animate a figure was really a tough little, you know, that was a tough hill to climb. And we were able to do it with a new character generator that we had purchased for the studio. And we came up with this little character to help one of the local banks in town to describe a new program that was available. And Gene did, he did all the artwork on it. I think we even had, he may have helped with some music and sound effects at that point. I'm not sure. It was very simple. You'll look at it here, and it looks very crude. But let me tell you, we were jumping up and down when we got this thing done because it was very hard work. And it came off very nicely. And the client was very pleased with it. And, you know, that's just another thing that Gene did.
You wouldn't wait 55 years for just any club, but First National Bank will make it worth your wait by making you first priority. If you're a qualifying depositor over 55, you could be taking advantage of discounted and free banking services, including photocopying and free checking. Other benefits include discounted travel like the Quad City Downs July 12th or see Red Skelton September 13th in Peoria. First National Bank's First Priority Club, because if you're over 55 and you're not taking advantage of First Priority, you're missing something.
One thing that should finally be said about Gene, and this was his life's work towards the end, is he loved Tom Mix. He loved old movies. He loved Tom Mix.
He loved westerns.
He loved westerns. He loved Roy Rogers. But he loved who else? Would have been
Gene Autry.
Gene Autry. He loved him.
Roy Rogers.
Part of his growing up were these cowboy stars, and that's what Gene patterned his whole lifestyle after, was these cowboy stars. And his favorite was Tom Mix.
That's right.
His collection of memorabilia is vast. It fills his home.
He would take movies, Tom Mix movies, and he would lay them to video, and a lot of them were silent movies. And so what he would do is he would spend days and weeks putting sound effects on these movies, putting just the right horse beats and gunshots, and he would spend so much time on these movies. And then he would go to these Tom Mix conventions, and he would show people what he's done with these movies, and he had a whole network of friends throughout the whole country about Tom Mix, and he wouldn't miss a show every year. He would go out
To the convention.
To the conventions. I really think it should be shown some of his work working on these Tom Mix movies. You got to remember that these were black and white movies that he reproduced to videotape, and he put these sound effects on them, and he put the gunshots, and everything that you hear is Gene Bell's work. And I think he would be proud today to have people see some of these clips. So let's show a little bit of Tom Mix's Hero.
Also spend quite a bit of time on the packaging of his movies when he did offer them for sale. A lot of the artwork on there, if I remember correctly, was a lot of cutouts and other little characters that he had hand drawn and hand colored.
Hand colored. Everything was done by hand, and then he would go to Xerox it all. But the work he spent on these boxes is just every bit as long as the work he spent on making the sound effects.
He didn't have benefit of a computer to use to print these label inserts, and it's just amazing the amount of work he would spend, because he would tell me he'd sit up late at night just coloring things with an ink pen by hand. But fortunately for all of us, he was in a line of work as an artist where there is a record of his accomplishments and his art.
Yes.
And that'll live hopefully forever. I hope some of his video will get transferred to some kind of digital format here eventually, where it'll last indefinitely, because it really is the legacy of his life and his life's work. And it will, I know, one way or another, that it will survive.
Yeah, that's correct.
For generations, and keep carrying on that Tom Mix message.
Yeah.
And his own personal artistic message. I mean, he did a lot besides working with Tom Mix.
Yeah. But it was, he did, even though it was romanticized, I mean, the Tom Mix way of life, he did, as best as he could, he did try to live up to those
That's right.
Values.
Gene touched every one of us here. We're just, that's why we're here today, just to try to show you how much he meant to us and how much we respect his work. That's why he gets this day. Today would be his birthday.
Today would have been his 60th birthday.
Yeah, so
thank you for joining us.
yes, thank you.
And hats off to you.
Hats off to you, old Pard.
Old Pard, we'll miss you.
Good luck.
Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Life seemed long, but in fact it was short. And with this song report I might. The moon is pale at the end of the trail. And I wonder, are you lonesome?